The desert winds howled across the ghostly plains of Dustwood, a town half dead and half forgotten. Saloons stood with their doors creaking in the wind. The sheriff's office was abandoned, and the only sound of life was the clinking of glasses inside Red Vulture Saloon, a place where whiskey drowned fear and men whispered about death. A stranger arrived that evening, tall, broad shoulders, a wide-brimmed hat covering most of his face. His boots struck the wooden boardwalk with a heavy rhythm. People stopped and stared. Dustwood wasn't used to visitors, not since the Viper gang took control. The stranger walked into the saloon. The piano stopped. Smoke lingered in the air. Men in black coats with revolvers strapped tight glanced at him with suspicion. At the center table sat Eli Viper, the ruthless leader of the gang that had been bleeding Dustwood dry for years. Rumor was Eli killed the last sheriff with his bare hands. The stranger ordered a drink. His voice was deep, almost cracked with years of silence. Whiskey, neat. The bartender trembled while pouring. Eli Viper leaned back, studying him. "You're new here, cowboy," Eli said, smiling with yellowed teeth. "This is my town. Folks don't walk in here unless they got a death wish." The stranger sipped, didn't flinch. His eyes, sharp as steel, locked on Eli's. "I'm not here to drink, I'm here for blood." The saloon went silent. A match struck, someone lit a cigar nervously. Eli's smile faded. "And whose blood do you reckon you're after?" The stranger placed his glass down, slow and deliberate. "Yours?" Before anyone could draw, the stranger flipped the table, pulled his revolver, and shot the man beside Eli clean between the eyes. Chaos erupted. Gunfire filled the room. The stranger moved like a shadow, precise, merciless. Within seconds, 3 of Eli's men were dead. Eli escaped through the back, cursing, his boots pounding against the dirt. The stranger stood amidst broken glass and blood. He tipped his hat, revealing a scar across his cheek. The townfolk whispered in shock. Some recognized him. Others only guessed. Could it be him, the ghost? One old man in the corner muttered, "That's Jonah Cross, the gunslinger they left for dead 5 years ago." The name spread like wildfire. Jonah Cross, a legend. A man betrayed, beaten, and buried by Eli Viper himself. And now he was back. But Jonah wasn't here just for Eli. His eyes carried a deeper rage, a secret no one in Dustwood yet understood. That night, Jonah walked alone into the cemetery outside town. He stopped at a grave, a small broken cross with no name. He knelt, his hands trembling. "They took everything from me," he whispered, "but I'll burn this town before I let their souls rest easy." The wind carried his vow like a curse, and in the distance Eli Viper gathered his men, swearing Jonah Cross wouldn't see the next dawn. To be continued. The next day, Dustwood woke to a storm of fear. Eli Viper nailed a wanted poster across the saloon wall. Jonah Cross dead or alive, 10,000. Every outlaw within 50 miles was suddenly interested. Jonah had started a war. Jonah, meanwhile, moved like a ghost through the desert. He struck the Viper's supply lines, burned their stolen wagons, freed prisoners they had chained in the mines. Dustwood saw a flicker of hope, but also terror. For every Viper Jonah killed, Eli made sure 2 innocent townsfolk paid the price. Sheriff Clay, long thought dead, crawled from hiding to find Jonah. "You're stirring a hornet's nest, Cross," Clay warned. "These people have suffered enough." Jonah's eyes were hollow. "They burned my wife alive. They buried my child in the sand. You tell me, Sheriff, how many men do I have to kill before their screams stop haunting me?" Clay froze. He had heard rumors of Jonah's past, but never the full horror. The Vipers didn't just betray Jonah for gold, they destroyed his family. His vengeance was more than justice. It was a curse. That evening, Jonah rode into the plains where the Vipers camped, alone against 20 men. The moon cast shadows over the desert rocks. A gunfight erupted like thunder. Jonah's revolvers roared. Each shot was death. He moved with inhuman precision, as if every bullet was guided by rage itself. The Vipers fell one by one, screaming into the sand. Jonah was wounded, bleeding from his shoulder, but he didn't stop. In the chaos, Eli watched from a distance, smiling wickedly. "You think you're winning, Jonah? You think you're close? You don't know the half of it." The fight ended in silence. Jonah stood among corpses, his breath ragged. He heard a cry, faint, muffled, He found a wooden crate, forced it open, and inside was a child. A boy, maybe 8 years old, bruised, terrified. Pinned to the boy's shirt was a note scrawled in Eli's handwriting. "Your bloodline lives, Jonah, but not for long." Jonah staggered back, his hands shaking. His son, alive after all these years? Or was this some cruel trick? The boy whispered, "Papa?" Jonah dropped his gun. For the first time in years, his hardened face broke. Tears burned his eyes. But before he could speak, a rifle cracked in the distance. Jonah turned. Too late. The boy screamed as Viper riders descended from the cliffs. Eli himself rode at the front, laughing like a demon. Dust filled the night. Jonah grabbed the boy and ran into the canyon, bullets raining around them. He swore he'd protect the child with his last breath, but deep inside, Jonah wondered, was this boy truly his son or just another piece in Eli's twisted game? To be continued. The canyon walls echoed with gunfire. Jonah and the boy barely made it to the old abandoned church at the edge of town. The bell tower was shattered, the pews rotting, but for Jonah, it became his last stand. He armed the boy with a small pistol. "Stay low, don't fire unless you have to." The boy's eyes trembled. "Papa, I'm scared." Jonah placed a hand on his shoulder. "So am I. That's how I know we're still alive." Outside, Eli Viper's men surrounded the church. Torches lit the desert night. Eli stepped forward, his black duster coat dragging across the sand. "Jonah," he roared, "come out and face me like a man, or I burn that church to ashes with your little bastard inside." Jonah stepped onto the porch, revolvers drawn. The moonlight carved his scarred face into something almost supernatural. "This ends tonight, Eli." The showdown began. Gunfire erupted. Jonah moved through the church like a phantom, cutting down men left and right. The boy reloaded for him, trembling but brave. Blood painted the altar. Bullets tore through stained glass, and the old cross above the pulpit cracked in half. One by one, the Vipers fell, until only Jonah and Eli remained. Eli drew his revolver slow, savoring the moment. "You really think you've beaten me, Cross? You think that boy is yours? Ha, he's mine, born of your wife after I took her from you. He carries my blood." The words hit Jonah like fire. His hands shook. The boy stared at him, wide-eyed, confused. "Papa, is it true?" Jonah's rage boiled over. "No, you're mine. You'll always be mine." Eli smirked. "Then prove it." The two men faced each other in the dirt outside the church. The world went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Their hands hovered over their guns. Lightning cracked in the distance. Then steel flashed. 2 shots rang out. When the smoke cleared, Eli Viper stumbled, clutching his chest, blood pouring from his mouth. He collapsed into the dust, laughing weakly. "You'll never know the truth," he whispered, and died. Jonah stood frozen, bleeding, his revolver smoking. The boy ran to him, tears streaming. "Papa!" Jonah embraced him, trembling. For the first time in years, he felt something close to peace. But Eli's final words carved doubt into his heart. As dawn broke over Dustwood, Jonah rode out of town with the boy. The people watched in silence, and their savior, their curse, leaving as mysteriously as he came. And in the wind, whispers lingered. Was the boy truly Jonah's son, or Eli's twisted legacy? The West would never know. But one thing was certain: the legend of Jonah Cross and the gunslinger who came back from the grave would haunt Dustwood forever.